Okay, now we'll begin the installation of the dome. You'll need the following tools: your hammer, your scissors, anchors and eyelets, setting tool, roto hammer, and a chalk line comes in handy. You're going to want to snap the chalk line all the way around the pool dome, and from that you'll set anchors on it every 18 to 24 inches. If you don't have a chalk line, you can just use a regular measuring tape to mark off where your anchors will be placed. You'll want to start marking the anchors for the corners about 4 feet out from the corners. You'll save those for later when you get the dome up. Okay, in order to start drilling with your roto hammer, you're going to want to go to a depth of the anchor itself. These anchors are over 1.5 inches, and just adjust the depth on your drill to that. Okay, drill your first hole and then just test the depth, making sure that you're going maybe a 1/16 of an inch deeper than what the anchor really is. We've screwed the eyelet onto the anchor just to be able to slip it in and out of the hole easier. This one we found just a little bit not quite deep enough, so we're going to drill a little bit deeper. That should work out real well. If you don't have a drill depth guide, as we do here, just wrap a piece of masking tape around the drill bit, then you'll know where to stop. Drop the anchor into the hole and just use the setting tool. Tap it down hard enough so that it's in there firmly. You'll want to go just a little bit deeper, as you can see. Screwing in the eye bolts anytime you want. You can do it now, or you can wait until you get the dome out over the pool. It's a pretty simple process. Just screw them in, making sure that the open side of the eye bolt is facing away from the pool. If one of your marks ends up being fairly close to a joint in your concrete, you'll probably want to move off a little bit so you don't crack it. A couple inches will usually do. As time goes, you'll see on this pool, it's got a perimeter of about 165 feet. We've done all the anchors except for the corners, which is about 70 anchors when we put them every 2 feet. It took us about 1 hour. Okay, maneuver the box into position. The outside of the box will show exactly where you should place the dome next to the pool. And you'll have your arrows facing the other side of the pool. You'll have your drawing showing exactly how the dome was made. Then you'll unroll the dome along that end of the pool. going to get one person on each end of the dome. So right across the water, it doesn't really matter if it gets, any of it gets into the water.
Now, yeah.
Just be real careful that you don't snag it on anything when you're pulling it out across the deck. As you can see, the walls of the dome are folded up and over the top of the roof, and you'll end up bringing those down off of the roof. Now the next thing you'll want to do is line up your corners on your dome. They will be marked on the roof and on the air skirt itself. Make sure that they're centered exactly, because if you get them off by a foot or so, your dome will not inflate properly. So it means that when you go to, you must make sure it's lined up so that when you put the anchors on the dome, you're square with it. Here is laid this one side out, making sure that both corners, the corner here and the corner here, are lined up properly. Then we'll check the rest of the corners as well. Used to check whether you've got it lined up is the zipper. You should have a mark on your deck where the zipper is supposed to be located. That'll generally should be within an inch or two where it should be. Also, if you've got a revolving door, you can check and see that that lines up. That's a little bit harder to see because it's you might have folds there, but it can be used. You can start putting your eye bolts in, screw them all the way, making sure to keep the open side out away from the dome. Again, this can be done before you put the dome on or after. We've done it after here, just so we're not tripping over them when we're pulling the dome out over the pool. Probably a better idea to wait. What we're doing, and what you should do, it's very important to put some kind of grease on these eyelets before you put them into the deck. If you don't, you'll stand a chance that they might get a bit of rust on them. These aren't stainless steel, they're zinc. They're rust resistant, but they're not completely rust proof, so it is best, and they go a little bit easier like this. All the anchors or the eyelets all screwed into place, then you're going to want to make sure that you get everything lined up correctly again. And we're doing that by starting here at the zipper. We know where the zipper is supposed to be, so we're starting right there. And we're going to cut into the hem just a little bit, just like that, exposing the cable and hooking that cable to the eyelet. Just like that. Pull it up snugly and there we go. Don't cut too deeply, just cut just a little bit. We'll show you one more time here.
Cable's in the way.
After we get those first couple done over by the zipper, then we're going to pull this wall snug, making sure, again, that it's centered and lined up correctly. This is on one of the corners where we've left the anchors out, and we'll be able to finish that up by pulling it into place. Now we'll go down to the other corner. Making sure it's lined up with the mark on the deck, which shows the center of the corner, pulling it tight, and then we'll just cut the anchors in place between corners. On a 90-degree corner, because the corners are all cut with a radius, in this case a 2-foot radius, your corner isn't going to stretch all the way back to the point of the where the two lines would intersect. So just round it out like it's shown here. Okay, if you have a revolving door, you're also going to want to make sure that the revolving door is lined up correctly. The opening for it should lie just in the middle of where you've put your mark for the middle of the door itself here. Yeah, I think we can start getting air underneath the dome as soon as you can, so move it into position and bring the skirt up and over. Now this is before we finished off the corners, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting air up underneath the dome. So put it where you want it, plug her in, let her go. Now looking at the beading that runs around the revolving door shroud. If you've got a revolving door, you're going to want to find this and find your seams that will line up with the corners on the revolving door. So you're going to bring it up and over. As you see, we're finding where that corner is.
Come with one person.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this seam goes right in the corner?
Make sure that the track that you have on the door is facing the dome. It's very important. You don't want to get it turned around the other way. As you can see, it's facing the dome, the white tracking. I didn't show you. We should have done this first thing before bringing the door into place, is to cut the cable in the middle of the door. You're going to want to put the locking strip into the channel on top of the beading, as you can see us doing here. This is very important. You got to do this, otherwise you stand a chance of the shroud coming unhooked from the door. You don't want that. Okay, here's a trick on getting the dome inflated a little bit faster. You'll want to take the filters out. You'll get a little bit more air through the blower and get the dome inflated that much faster. Then you're going to want to line up the corners on the dome, or spread the corners out by just pulling them out. Trick on cutting the air skirt around the blower so you're not losing air while you're getting the dome inflated, plus after the dome is up. You can do it at that point also. Just start in a point on the center of the blower on the air skirt. Make 2 cuts from that center to both sides of the blower. That way it seals off the blower on both sides. Determine where we need the door has to be, so we're going to mark on the deck spots where it should be anchored down. Then we're going to move the door out of the way so that we can drill those anchor spots without the door being in the way. Anchors on both sides of the blower, about 4 inches away from the blower. Just line it up. Go ahead, drill your hole. Do that both sides. The dome is not fully inflated yet, but you probably want to make some adjustments to the air skirt. As you can see, it's got a lot of wrinkles in it. So what you want to do is go to the corners, work the wrinkles out. Then you're going to want to use your pair of scissors to just make a cut right at the top of a wrinkle. And you can fold the wrinkle down on itself so that the air skirt is then flat. Now we're nearly fully inflated on this dome. You can see the shroud, you've got it around the door, making sure it's not touching anywhere on the door. Okay. Now we're going to drill holes directly below the point where the cables exit the shroud. Why don't you pull that? Touch that cable there, Paul. There's that cable that comes out of that sleeve. Right underneath that, that's where we're going to want to drill an anchor to hook that cable on. As you get closer to fully inflation of the dome, go around and check your anchors to make sure you've got them all anchored. Now we're going to pull up the skirt here and see that some of these have come undone. It's pretty hard to do from the outside at this point because you've got so much upward pressure, so just get on the inside and hook them on. As you can see, it's a lot easier. Once you get them hooked on, when you've got good pressure on the walls, they're not going to come off. Make sure that you've got your shroud all the way into the track, all the way around. Then we're going to take the cable and cinch it around a nearby hook and then use one of the cable clamps provided to hook it down. We do this on both sides of the door. tying off that cable, you'll also be tying off the cable that you cut on the air skirt. Yeah, we've installed a second anchor about 6 inches away from the first one so that you can stretch the cable from one over to the other. Stretch both cables. Now you'll leave your blower on high speed until you get the dome fully inflated. At that time you'll want to cut the blower back because it really doesn't need to be on high speed all the time. So just by experimentation you'll find the optimum speed setting for your blower.